everyone, this is Claudia here from the Bookkeeping Experts. I told you I would be back for more, and here I am. And today we're going to talk about something that may happen to you, very possible, and what to do when that happens. All right, so today we're going to talk about bounce payments. So let's suppose you're a customer, pay the invoice, your services, and for whatever reason, you deposit the check bounced, didn't work, whatever happened, and now that invoice is marked as paid. However, the money was reversed back to you, so you no longer have that payment. So what to do is what we're going to talk about today. So without much further ado, we're going to go straight into QuickBooks Online, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do when that happens. All right, okay. All right, here is our QuickBooks Online. Yay! All right, so to be able to get to where we need to get transactions and then bank transactions, and let's suppose we have two examples here. So what to do first if you follow the right workflow in QuickBooks Online. So today you're going to find out that following the right workflow in QuickBooks will help you in many ways, not just to verify that all transactions are accounted for, which is very important, but also when you have to fix issues like we're going to fix today, it is so much easier, and you don't even have to, if you have reconciled the account, you don't even have to undo it if you follow the right workflow in QuickBooks. So here we go. First of all, the workflow in QuickBooks, I'm going to remind you, if you don't know, you're going to first create the invoice, right? And we're just going to select customer here. All right, I'm going to say that that's for, let me just take a look at some bank transactions. This is just a simple account. We're going to take a look at a transaction here. February 7th, we got this $20,178.25, which is money received. I hope I can remember the number. If not, I'm just gonna copy this number over here, and I'm gonna create that invoice. So the invoice was for the 1st of February 2023. I'm 2 years behind, by the way. All right. We're just gonna go evaluation meeting here, and here I'm gonna paste that number, make it easier for me. $20,178.25. So I'm gonna create that invoice first, right? I'm gonna save, send to the customer if you have a customer, and then you have a customer who send the payment with the check, and the next step is to receive payment. There's different ways for you to receive payment. One is to click on the plus new on the top and click on receive payment, and you're gonna type the name of the customer in here, and all the invoices associated with this customer is gonna show up. You can select that invoice, make sure the date is correct, and I don't want to send it to the bank account. I want to send to undeposited funds. Or payments to deposit, right? Either way. But I don't want to send this payments to deposit. That's the right one. I don't want to send it to the bank, because if I send it to the bank, I'm breaking one step of our process, and that is going to keep us from being able to unmatch it correct the way it's supposed to. So everything is here. We send it to undeposited funds. Now it's time to record the deposit, right? So we're gonna do the plus new bank deposit, and we're gonna select the transaction, make sure this date is correct. So let's suppose that, you know, it was deposited on the 5th, and to the chase, this is the exact amount, and it was deposited on the 5th, but it cleared on the 7th. So that's very possible, right? Big chunk here. And I like to use two screen, by the way. To do that, you right click and duplicate your page, and here you are, so you can go back and forth. This makes it so much easier. I have the transaction here, and because it's more than 6 months, it's not going to show up as a match here. So that's why I'm going to click on match. By the way, be careful with match, because if the transaction doesn't match exactly and you fix the difference, it's when you reconcile, the amount is going to be different. So it's going to be a little bit more complicated to reconcile. It's possible, yes, but I don't recommend it. Okay, so better just to find a match only if it is exact, only if it is more than 6 months and you can't really find a match. The idea is to be able to find it. Most of the time, you will. All right, so we're going to go ahead and match this. Perfect. All right, so like I said, the check bounced. Now what? What am I going to do? So I am going to reset that invoice, because I saw the money back on the account and they say non-sufficient funds, whatever it is. So I don't want to create another invoice. I could create another invoice, but that invoice would be a brand new invoice, and it would have a different invoice number, and so on and so forth. So we like to reset the original invoice. And how am I going to do that, Claudia, is what I'm going to show you. Okay, so we're going to go to categorize, and I'm going to look for that transaction. By the way, you can use the date filter, so you can click on the arrow here, and I'm looking for the exact date so that I don't have to look for all the possible transactions. So I know the date, and I'm gonna put maybe from the 1st to the 5th of February. Maybe I didn't know the exact date, but I knew kind of approximately. But I don't want to look through all the stuff that I have, so I'm gonna narrow it down to 5 days here. Oh, actually, the second date was on the 7th, right? So I can put on the 10th. There you go. So I have a few more transactions. And I can use all these filters here to look for a specific transaction. If I know the date, I can go date, description, amount. I would look for the amount. So if I click on amount here, it's going to filter by amount. Here it's showing the negative amount. I'm looking for a deposit. So I click again, it's going to flip to deposits. There it is. Okay, so wanted to show you a couple of things. When you don't follow the right workflow for income transaction, it's going to show here as added in accounts receivable. That means that it was matched straight to an invoice, okay? And if it wasn't recorded or matched to an invoice, it's going to say sales, added and sales. But if I know that there is an invoice for that, you can fix it. And I have a video that talks about it. You can actually stretch this, and once you see the blue link hyperlink here, you can click on it and it's gonna bring that transaction. And if you have anything on undeposited funds, you can select those transactions and adjust this one here. So we're not gonna do this today, okay? So, but that's how you do it, by the way. All right, but anyhow, I have this transaction here, and I know that the check bounced, so I want this to be reset. It says match. I click on deposit. So what I want to do here, I want to uncheck this invoice, but I don't want just to save it like that. I want to create a deposit here that confirms that it was originally a sale. So I can put the name of the customer or customer, whatever. And I can put sales here. And I'm going to substitute the amount that the check was for, $20,178.25. And I unchecked this. So I unchecked this, and I created this deposit right over here. So what I'm doing here, I'm disconnected from this payment over here. Okay, so that's the first step. First, I got to disconnect the deposit, and I am going just to create a payment here. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close. However, that payment and that invoice is still sitting on undeposited funds. So I'm going to click on bank deposit. So the moment I substituted that or unchecked that transaction on the deposit, it brought it back to undeposited funds. So it undid the deposit. Now the next step is to delete the payment. So I can click on customer. Okay, and I'm not going to delete the invoice. I'm just going to delete the payment. This is the payment, guys. I don't want to uncheck this, because if I uncheck this, I'm going to create what we call unapplied cash payment. I don't want that. I want to delete the payment. You can keep this checked and then just delete, or you can void it if you want to keep. Okay, so what I did was to reset that invoice. So if I can go back to invoices here, and I'm going to say unpaid. That was 2023. Okay, I'm going to see that this invoice is now reset to its original date. And once the customer send the next payment, I'll be able to receive payment. Okay, or you can send a reminder to pay, or whatever you need to do. So this is what happens when you follow the right income transaction workflow, right? What if you don't? Okay, so that gets a little bit more complicated. Now you notice that when I do this, I don't have to undo the reconciliation if you have already reconciled. Okay, so I don't have to undo the reconciliation. That's all I got to do. Now, what if you do have to undo the reconciliation because you didn't do the right workflow? Okay, so we're going to go back to Chase 123, categorize. I have the custom date, and I have this transaction here. See, if I click here, I'm not going to be able to, I can substitute the invoice, yes, but I don't want that. The payment bounced, okay? So what to do with that? I first have to unmatch this transaction. When I unmatch it, I'm actually bringing this transaction back to for review. So I'm gonna click here, unmatch, and it's gonna warn you. It's gonna say, oh, you already reconciled. So you're gonna have to undo the reconciliation on this item, and then you can actually manually fix on the register. So yes, but if you haven't reconciled, then better for you, okay? So I unmatched this transaction, and the next thing is that I'm gonna delete this payment because this payment didn't happen. When I do this, delete the payment's gonna warn you if you're already reconciled, and the main thing is that it's gonna bring that transaction back to for review because you unmatched. I just have to go to the right account. There it is. Okay, and now I can just categorize this as sales. What about the other transaction, the refund transaction? I categorize as sales as well, because that's just gonna reverse the exact amount that we received. So put customer. Oh, by the way, if there is any fees that you want to add to the invoice, you can go back in the invoice and add a fee, a late fee, or non-sufficient check fee, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we're gonna do it under sales and add, and then if I see the spend amount, let's suppose that this is the same amount. Sorry, this is just a sample account, so I didn't have that. I would categorize as the same thing. So customer, the name of your customer, and I would say sales. Okay, what it is that if it is spent, the sales is going to be a negative amount, so it's going to reverse the payment. So it's going to pretty much zero it out. That's how I do it. So you're going to see money in and out. You will know that this was, and if you want, you can just click a little on the memo here that this was a bounce check or non-sufficient funds check that has been reversed back. So this is going to reverse back your sale. So categorize as the same, even though it says spend. Okay, that's how you do it. That's how you fix it. Now, there's one more thing. If you have reconciled, you can actually click on the Go Register, and you can narrow down the date. 2023. Okay. This may not let me. Oh no. It's 2023. Nope, it's not gonna let me because it's too old. Okay, but let's suppose it will, because this is just a simple count. Like I said, most of the time you're not gonna have that. You can narrow down the dates you're looking for. Not to, okay, back to 2023. And apply, and you'll find the transaction. I'm gonna have to put a date where I do have a transaction, so bear with me. Nothing. Okay, let me expand this date here to 2024. I'm sure there's, okay, there you go. Okay, so if this was already reconciled, so what you're gonna do is click on the transaction and then manually click on reconcile and then save. Okay, that's how you do it. But of course, it's gonna warn you, but if you already reconciled before and you're just gonna correct, you can. Now, can you undo the reconciliation and do it again? Yes, you can. Absolutely. You absolutely can. And that might be the easiest way to go, especially if you have multiple transactions. If you have a bunch of, hopefully you don't have a bunch of bounce check, but, but that's how you do it. All right, so that's how you reverse a check. So I show you two ways. When you follow the right workflow, makes it so much easier. Now, hopefully you can understand. I'm going to go back here to talk to you. Okay. There it is. I'm back. So now I hope you have one more reason to follow the right workflow for the income transactions. Of course, you can not do the workflow. Yes, you can do. There's a way for you to do it, like I showed you, but it does get a little bit more complicated. And the reason why we actually send it to undeposited funds and then you match is because we want to make sure that all the income transactions are accounted for. Because if there is anything left on undeposited funds, it's because there's maybe a check that wasn't deposited. There could be somebody, not depositing the check like they say they would. So it's definitely a reason for you to keep an eye on undeposited funds. Now, of course, there could be a lot of discrepancy there, but I do have a video on how to fix undeposited funds as well. So you better watch that. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. It was absolutely a pleasure to spend this time with you. I hope that you feel the same way. And if you like this content and if this is useful for you, remember it's free, completely free. I have learned that. I have put my time into getting the knowledge so that I can share with you. I've been a bookkeeper, like I said before, for a long, long time. And I've made all kinds of mistakes and I learned how to fix it. And that's the most important. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life. The most important thing is to know how to fix it. How to fix the mistakes. That's the most important thing. And of course, there could be a situation where you actually recorded the wrong invoice. So, there's a way to fix it. And this way actually helps you fix that same error, even if it's not a bounce check. But anyhow, if you like this content, click down below and subscribe. And we're going to be back every week, twice a week, with all kinds of information and all kinds of free tutorial for yourself, for your firm, or to share with somebody who needs more information, who needs help with QuickBooks Online. It's free, so subscribe and share. And we're going to be back next week. And until next week, keep on smiling.